Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show here. Man, we got a great show for you today. Highlights from last night's incredible Sports Club of Tampa Bay Hall of Fame inductions. Oh, man, what a night it was. So honored to be able to MC that event and the star-studded cavalcade that we had last night. Titus O'Neil and Steve Spurrier and Bruce Arians. Aaron Andrews had a tremendous speech. He had to appear by video, but was absolutely amazing. Bobby Diaz, the longtime Chamberlain coach. Betty Castor got the Lifetime Achievement Award. Charlie Bradley, the greatest player in USF basketball history. It was absolutely fantastic. So we'll get into that. So many news notes. Dan Hurley to the Lakers and what all the vibrations that's going to cause. We're going to talk a lot of Bucks this morning. We were out at OTAs earlier this week. You see the showdown between Shohei Ohtani and Paul Skeens last night. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. And we got WNBA players being verbally attacked at their hotels now. We got NIL and high school football and high school sports we got to talk about. It's unbelievable here, Nick Geddes.
The NBA finals start tonight. My goodness,
it's finals start tonight.
Game one.
I forgot that.
And even in my world, like I'm sitting here and I got a tab open. I'm watching, the semifinals of the French Open.
Oh,
right
that's
now.
right.
Between Iga Swiatek and Coco Gauff. So we're just packed to the gills today. Which on a June day, on a June Thursday, you don't get many of those, So
I'm getting overheated already. I got to turn my fan on here. So it's hot. It's hot. So hot. It's gonna be a hot show. Hot show. All right, so sit back and relax. And just to make it even more fun, my man, the infomercial man, Brian Fasulo is going to join us here. And we're going to talk a lot of different things as he always brings up some crazy stuff. Former daytime host and did a sports show with me for many, many years. Always fun to talk to Brian, a very unique perspective on everything. So we'll chat with him at 10:30. And I think the NIL is something that is really an interesting topic for high schools now and all the doors that opens. I mean, I've got so many business ideas running through my head now, like what, how to capitalize off of this. It just opens up a ton of opportunity. By the way, if you hear anything going on in the background, we got the roofers on the roof tonight. They're and by the way, thank the Lord for being able to talk sports for a living. Holy shiz. Those guys.
I feel so bad when I'm driving around, especially on like Saturdays and Sundays, for example, and they don't get those days off.
No.
They do not get those days off. And the humidity out there, I agree. I'm thankful.
It's insane. Yeah, we are very thankful for the incredible work that they do. And just, yeah. So be thankful, folks. You may not be making as much money as you want, but at least you're not on a roof. I don't know how, like the roofs that we have here are heavily pitched. Like I'm talking, maybe 45 degrees, 35 degrees. It ain't flat. I mean, it's a good like this, and they're high, and they just walk up there like it's nothing. And they're just running around with hammers and saws and all kinds of
I don't
shit.
think they're tied off or anything either.
No, there's no tying.
We don't have any. They don't have an OSHA regulation book.
Yeah, not a whole lot of that going on. No. But anyway, God bless them. All right, I want to start with last night's event at Higgins Hall, Tampa Sports Club Hall of Fame. I think this is like my fifth year doing the emceeing on this gig, and it was just a spectacular night on so many levels. And one of the things I love, and it was kind of the theme of my monologue, was, we all share this incredible passion for Tampa Bay sports. And there were some people there with like, wow, Steve Spurrier is going in a Tampa Sports Hall of Fame. And as I said, you can't tell the story of sports in Tampa Bay, the history of it, without Steve Spurrier. You can't. The first quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their first star player, the head coach of the Tampa Bay Bandits, which, it was short-lived, but for 3 years, they were the biggest story in Tampa Bay. I mean, they were an incredible USFL wonder. 2 playoff appearances, they were way better than the Bucks, and they totally outshined the Bucks, staying them in their own stadium. They were way more fun. I mean, Bandit Ball was something incredible. And you know, as I admitted last night, Tampa Bay is Gator country. I mean, we have a huge presence of Seminoles. There's no question about it. And my Seminole fans were booing me for saying this, but it's predominantly it is a Florida Gator. They don't own it. I'm not saying that, but if you said, are there more Gator fans, Bulls fans?
They got a larger piece of that pie.
They do. If you don't admit that, you're not being honest. You're not being honest. And last night's show had a great Gator theme to it. Titus O'Neil, who of course played for the Gators, Aaron Andrews, who was a big went to Florida, a big Florida Gator fan as well. So there was a lot of that. You know, there was some Seminole stuff going on, but not as much. And it was really cool to kind of connect all of that. And so Steve Spurrier was absolutely freaking hilarious. But it was, and it wasn't just the people that were being inducted. I mean, you know, it was a who's who of sports personalities. Jim Levitt was there. The whole USF contingent was there. Jose Fernandez, Ken Erickson, the softball coach. Didn't see Alex there last night. Not sure what he had going on. But Betty Castor, the former president, was our Lifetime Achievement Award winner. And I didn't, frankly, realize how much he had done for sports until I dug into the research. Obviously, birthing the USF football team was a huge part of her legacy at USF when she was president. She also, as the commissioner of education, the first female elected to state office in the state of Florida, she personally championed fast pitch softball coming to the state of Florida, because before that it was slow pitch. So she got high schools to get into the fast pitch, which got Ken Erickson a job. So he's happy about that. And so she did that, and she was just instrumental in really taking the athletic department to the next level and so many other things. So that was really cool. Charlie Bradley, obviously the greatest player in USF basketball history, arguably. I didn't realize this about Charlie. He was the leading scorer in the nation for most of his sophomore year, just got edged out at the end. But, you know, in 1983, you know, there weren't a lot of great national stories coming out of Tampa sports, right? And he was at the top of the list. USF, Charlie Bradley, right there every day in the newspaper. That's a paper thing that we used to drop on your lawn, and you'd read all kinds of stuff. And you as a kid, you'd run out and you'd grab the sports section and you'd look up all the leaders and the hit leaders and everything else. And you'd see, oh, here's the leading scorers in college basketball, Charlie Bradley, USF. It was a big deal. It was a really, really big deal. So yeah, Charlie was there. Bobby Diaz, who was 28 years at Chamberlain High School, won 2 state titles, 19 the district titles, 9 regional final. I mean, just over 600 wins. One of those coaches that just has given their life to helping others. And he gave a very, very emotional, impassioned speech about, you know, he's not a rich man, you know, and as he told me, we were talking in the VIP room previous, and he's like, I don't know, somebody left the back door open and let me in tonight. I don't know what I'm doing with these guys, but I say, Coach, come on now. You're a legend. You're an icon. And he gave this great speech about, you know, he's rich in the relationships that he's been able to build over all these years, and watching these young ladies grow up to be, you know, successful businesswomen, great moms, great leaders in their communities. Many went on to college scholarships. I mean, hundreds went on to college scholarships to get their degrees that probably wouldn't have gone to college. And everyone that came after them, to Bruce Arians, to Steve Spurrier, to Titus O'Neil, all the, you know, the quote big names, you know, paid homage to Bobby Diaz. So that was really cool. That was a really, really cool part of the program last night. And Bruce was great. Bruce told some great stories about the Super Bowl run, and you know, kind of behind the scenes stuff and what was going on, and how he changed the culture. And I think this is something that kind of gets lost. You know, Brady is obviously given a lot of credit for the Super Bowl win and quote changing the culture. But as we tell you and have told you many times, the culture changed when Bruce arrived. That's when the culture changed. When, you know, even that last year when Jameis threw 30 interceptions, he also threw 36 touchdowns and threw for 5,000 yards. We forget that. I didn't mention it, and Bruce did, and he gave me the side eye, which I deserved. And he he pointed that out. But to me, Bruce was the one who changed the culture. He was the one who changed the culture. Tom added to it. No question about it. That he took it to another level. But Bruce was the first one to do it. So his speech, I thought, was really, really great. And all of them extremely humble and deferring to all their players and coaches and administrators and everybody else and taking none of the credit. But so much of the credit goes to Bruce. And I don't think he gets enough. I really don't.
I was going to say about Bruce, to me, like his hiring was like the first serious hiring where I went, man, the Bucs are serious about winning. Right. Probably going back to the John Gruden, the aggressive move they made to get John Gruden well before my time. So in my time of watching the team, that was the first hire I went, wow, that's a serious hire. Right. They're actually interested in changing things. And you saw what happened. And even for a coach that was only there for 3 years, really 3 seasons, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to believe. Even though he was only here for a short amount of time, I can't think of any, I'm sure there are examples, but I can't think of a coach, player that has felt more like Tampa Bay and has made it their home and is out in the community and doing so many things. And we just associate him with Tampa Bay, even though he was only here for such a short amount of time. I feel like that's when I think of Bruce Arians, that's what I think of.
Yeah. And it's so funny you mentioned that because when Gruden was hired, it was like, oh, here's an established coach. Just as an aside. Well, all right, let me just stick to the Bruce Arians thing here before we get to Spurrier, but I'm trying to write this down so I remember to tell this story. When he talked to Hugh Culverhouse. So, so Bruce, he was 2-time NFL Coach of the Year. When the hell have we ever hired, a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year? It was stepping up, and remember that? Nobody saw that coming because he was retired. And Jason Light, who was, on thin ice, very thin ice. Like, we love Jason and, he's done an unbelievable job. But at that particular point, his record was not one of a general manager that typically will get kept on another year. But the Glazers trusted him and Jason, and you saw growth in him in his drafts and he's growing as a general manager. So I think a lot of ownership groups would have, gotten rid of him. And if you'd gotten rid of Jason Light, you don't get Bruce Arians. And if you don't get Bruce Arians, you don't get Tom Brady.
Right.
So, all these times when you see, ownership groups showing zero patience with general managers or, this is a great example of what patience will bring you.
And you don't replicate even the 2020 draft in particular. You don't replicate landing a future Hall of Fame left tackle. Right. And an all-pro safety, 2 building blocks for your future on the other side of Tom Brady. Like, they have so many things that had to happen or not happen, I guess, to create this magic in Tampa Bay football for the first time in 2 decades. Like, it's really fascinating to think about it. And it did start with Bruce.
Yeah. So let's never forget about that. I want to be the champion of Bruce Arians getting more credit than he's getting. I want to put that part on my tombstone, because I think he well deserves. And just being in his presence again, he's such a great dude, and he's so full of energy. He's just such a I just love the dude. I'm not going down that rabbit hole, but I sure wish he was still the coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Nothing against Todd Bowles at all, who I think is really growing into the job, by the way. I think he's really, really growing into the job, and I'm thrilled to see it. He just seems so much more comfortable in his own skin, and I think that's going to be a key to his success. I think so many times maybe he listened to too many voices and too many noises outside. I think the more he listens to himself and becomes more confident in his abilities, or you could listen to someone with some timeout usage strategy that you could listen to. But anyway, he's growing into the job. I miss Bruce Arians, and I think he was an amazing coach. I was glad we got to cover him. I was glad we got to see him, and he put on a great show last night. And Coach Spurrier told so many good stories. He was the last to speak, and as I'm, the audience is trying to live, said, "All right, say, Coach, you want to go another 2 hours? We can listen to you tell stories for another 2 hours." And the crowd's like, "Yeah, that's it." No, sorry, that's past my bedtime. So as he told the story of after he was done coaching the Bandits, he was looking for a job when the USFL disbanded is before he went to Duke. And he called up Tom McEwen, and he said, well, I think the Bucks are looking for a new coach, aren't they? Would they be looking for a new coach? He goes, yeah, well, I'm available and I'm cheap. Two things that Jehu Culverhouse loved, right? And McEwen said, I think you'd be the man for the job, no question about it. And he goes, well, can you give him a call? And McEwen said, well, I'll give you his number. You call him. This is how things were done back in the 80s, right? You know, and we're agents, you know, going back and forth and all this stuff. So Tom McEwen gave Spurrier Hugh Culverhouse's phone number, and he called him up. And as Steve said, he said, well, I said, well, I'm here. And, I coach this bandit ball, and we could do great things with the Buccaneers. Great things with the Buccaneers. I think it would, I think it would be absolutely just so much fun, and we'd win. We'd win. And Hugh Culverhouse said, I can't do a Hugh Culverhouse because I don't remember his, but I think it was more of a kind of a lazy Southern drawl. He said, well, that's okay, coach. I got the new Bear Bryant coming here. Then we got Ray Perkins instead of Steve Spurrier.
The new Bear Bryant.
The new Bear Bryant. I got the next Bear Bryant coming here. And so we hired Ray Perkins instead of Steve Spurrier in 1987. And the rest is history. So that was it. And then Spurrier tells this joke, and I'll probably screw it up, but he was telling a joke. He's sitting in a meeting, and I think at this point they were 0-11. And John McKay's up there, lecturing the players. And he's like, men, games are won and lost at the line of scrimmage. Won and lost at the line of scrimmage. The offensive line, we're getting crushed. We're getting killed. Spurrier is getting killed. He's like, yep, I was what's getting killed. He goes, defensive line, you couldn't hold a bag of water. You're terrible. The defensive, both every football game, that is where the game is won, at the line of scrimmage. And he's yelling and screaming and pointing his finger, and the whole team's there. And so he looks up and he looks in the back, and there's, one of those big offensive linemen. His name was Fest, I guess. And he's sitting back there, and he's like half asleep in the back of the room. And McKay calls him out. He says, Fest. And he's like, yes, yeah, coach. Yeah. He goes, where are the games won? Where are most of the games won? And where are the games lost? Where are the games lost? And he goes, most of them right here in Tampa Bay, coach. And then, there was he told it way better than I did. But, he just told some incredible stories, some incredible jokes, and talked about bandit ball and how much fun it was, and Gary Anderson and John Reeves. And it was an incredible time in Tampa. And many of you old heads remember it. Maybe even, Nick, you've seen some video. I got there's a great video about the Bandits season. Burt Reynolds is in it and all kinds of stuff. It's really good.
I was going to say, it's well before my time, but when you think about the USFL back in that time period, I feel like two of the top 5 things are always bandit ball and Burt Reynolds, both of which had to do with the Tampa Bay Bandits. So, just from that standpoint, and in terms of influence and what people like to think about that league, there's already enough there, in my opinion, to warrant the Hall of Fame induction. Obviously, he was the first Bucs quarterback, and we know you just went through it. It was not a great time period.
Yep.
But the fact that he won the Heisman at Florida, obviously close proximity to here, the fan base you mentioned, and even during his time at Florida, and take into account Florida, by the way, and I think I saw he made note of this too. Florida's only won the SEC 8 times?
9 times
in their entire history, or 9 of them.
9 times, yeah.
And Steve Spurrier's Florida Gators won it 7 times.
Yeah,
and he was only there for 11 seasons.
Yeah,
let that sink in.
Yeah,
of how dominant he was, and going back at the history, and you could speak to it more than I can, because that was probably the only time period where the big 3 in Florida were truly all humming as well as they ever have, and they stepped on each other's toes, and probably, these schools probably could have won more national championships than they did.
Yeah. Yeah. So Spurrier was just absolutely fantastic. And we forget his dominance at the University of Florida. Absolutely incredible.
And what he did in South Carolina too was pretty remarkable. Taking that over.
And Duke, don't forget Duke, where it all started.
Yeah.
He told a great story about that last night. That Duke team, I think is a story he told on this show one time as well, that I didn't know. His Duke team, first team he coached started, I think 1-2 or 1-3. And they were, nice. It was 1989, I believe. And he was picked to, to finish dead last in the ACC. And Clemson was going for their 4th straight title, I believe, in that season. And, they were off to an undefeated start. And so he just, he gave this motivational speech to the guys is like, this is your opportunity. You don't get many opportunities in life like this. You guys are good enough. I know you can do this. You just have to have the confidence and believe in yourself that you can go out and play with these guys. And, long story short, they went out and won that game and then won the rest of them and won the ACC championship that year. And I remember that vividly because that was really, you kind of heard about this fun and gun offense and this, crazy stuff that Steve Spurrier did, bandit ball. You were like, oh, that's interesting. But it was USFL. So you're like, is it something that has legs to it? And then he goes to Duke and does that. And everybody was like, holy shiz. He just won the ACC with the most doormat program in the history of college football. How the hell did he do that? Because he's a coaching genius. And then, of course, he went on to Florida and rewrote the record books there. So, just fully deserved. And again, for those who are like, what's Spurrier doing in a Tampa Bay Hall of Fame? There you go. I mean, you cannot tell the history of Tampa Bay sports without Steve Spurrier. It's a big part of it. And I would say the same about Bruce Arians. You win a Super Bowl, you come here and do what he did. As I said last night to him, I said, look, I know you live in Georgia, you're from Pennsylvania, but we will always claim you as ours here in the city of Tampa because you are a Ring of Honor. You're a Super Bowl champion. You don't win many of those, and he deserves an enormous amount of credit for all that. So he will always be part of Tampa Bay lore. And, of course, Titus O'Neil last night was just, he is, I think, one of the top 5 motivational speakers I've ever seen. And maybe the best human I've ever known. That's a lot. I've known a lot of great ones in my life. There's just something special about this guy. And as he said, he goes, everybody asks me when I'm going to run for this or run for that. And he goes, I ain't running for shiz, nothing. I'm not going to be in politics. I don't want to take a side. I just want to bring people together. And I was like, wow, it's a shame that you have to say that you can't be in politics because, nobody listens to the other side, no matter who it is. If Jesus Christ came back and if he was a Democrat or a Republican, half the people would hate him. It's just, and it's the way it is. And he recognizes that, and he recognizes that he can do so much more good just as an independent and a human being and a good human. And just the things that he said and the way he said it, I could never do it justice. But he talked about unity and helping others and bringing people together. He talked about his time at the University of Florida and people. And I love this, something he says all the time. The title of his book, there's no such thing as a bad kid. It's a kid put in a bad situation. Don't ask, is it a bad kid? Or no, what did he do? No, what happened to him? What happened to him? And it's a great point because, we're all maybe the most important factor in determining, your life and your life's path, frankly, is who you have as a father and to a big degree, a mother. It's your parents. But, if dad, and to his point, when dads stay in the home and dads do the right thing and dads sacrifice and do what they're supposed to do and bring up young men and young ladies in the right way, that solves almost all of society's problems, almost all of them. And most kids don't grow up with dads that stick around. I hate to say this, but our gender sucks right now. Men suck right now. They're a bunch of cowards. They don't take any responsibility. They don't want to be there for their kids. And when that happens, bad things happen to young kids. And, and he points that out tremendously well. That's why he's doing this big Father's Day event coming up. Thaddeus Bullard Foundation.org. Go to their website. I think that's what it is, or just Google the Thaddeus Bullard Foundation, Family Foundation, and sign up and get your tickets and come out with us and celebrate with the other dads. It's going to be an awesome event on Father's Day at the amphitheater. But Titus just gave an absolutely incredibly Wonderful.
And if you want evidence for how great of a champion, not just of the Tampa Bay community that he is, but just in general, a multi-billion-dollar over company called WWE, entrust Titus O'Neil in terms almost to be like a spokesperson for the company and representative to go out and be the good guy that he is genuinely on behalf of, like I said, their company that sold for like $9.9 billion or some crazy number like that. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
Like, we see it all the time in the Tampa Bay community, and we just become, I feel like, known to it. Like, yeah, Titus is out here doing everything, but he's doing it on a large scale for a company like that as well. And he had a great quote last night. I think he did it on the side media session. I think Greg Allman put this quote up where he said, "Tampa is my Hollywood, and he has everything he needs right here." Man, wow. I love hearing that, because society teaches you that you have to go to those cities, I guess, to make it or to really get your message across. And like I said, as much as he does it on a worldwide stage with WWE, he makes sure to always stay here in Tampa and be rooted and get the job done in his community. So I think that's why we all appreciate Titus beyond what he did in a wrestling ring or on a football field.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was just a magical night. I know I missed some things. Erin Andrews couldn't be there. She has a 10-month-old, and she's dealing with a lot of stuff right now. And she just gave a great speech and talked about Gail Sirians, who was her mentor, and growing up watching Gail and wanting to be like Gail. And of course, Gail was there to accept the award for her. So there was some great synchronicity in that as well. It was a really, really beautiful moment. And Erin's videotape speech was just absolutely so heartfelt, and I know a lot of people in the world see her as this megastar, and she is. I mean, she's one of the biggest stars there is in sports or pop culture. But she is as down to earth and as wonderful and an authentic person that if you know her, you know that's what she is and who she is. So it was great to see that. And it really came through how much she appreciated this honor of all the things she's been honored, the Emmys and everything else she's won. You could really tell that this from her hometown was super, super special. And it meant a lot to her. It really did mean a lot to her. So, it was great to see her there last night. All right. And quickly, the Rays, get a big win last night, 5-3. We'll get into this a little bit later on. Randy Arozarena showing signs of life, my friend. There's a pulse.
What did he get on base? 8 times in a row?
8 times in a row.
And a couple, I think he got hit by a pitch 2 or 3 times in there.
Yeah.
And some walks mixed in. I don't care. If you get on base, you get on base, as far as I'm concerned.
He just needs some hard contact.
Yeah, he's getting some hard contact now. Even Brandon Lau, too, since he's come back off the injured list, is like number 1 in every statistical hitting category for the Rays. So the Brandon Lau hot streak has arrived in June, which bodes well.
They win 5-3. They get back to 500. Zach Eflin was good last night as well, so they'll take a day off today and then welcome in the Orioles for a big series. That's going to be hopefully fun to watch. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, all right, my good friend Brian Fasulo is going to join us. We're going to talk about all kinds of different things that are in the news right now as he's flexing off camera. Quick break. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Scott Jeeves is one hell of an attorney. Get him on your side. If you've been in an accident, you need to be part of a class action lawsuit, anything in the legal arena, he will represent you vigorously. Go to jeeveslawgroup.com and contact them through the website. Get your free case evaluation. Also presented by Hydrate Heroes. Go to tryhydrateheroes.com. Get your free 3-pack sample. Tryhydrateheroes.com. They'll send it to you, and then go ahead and sign up and get that 30 servings for $29.99. Those little packets, you just mix them up and you get great benefits of hydration, all kinds of fun stuff in there. Only 5 calories, none of the bad stuff, all the good stuff. Tryhydrateheroes.com. Back in 3 with Brian Fasulo. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here for Extravaganza Productions. You know, I've worked with these pros on so many big and small events. They recently did the Kappa Alpha Psi Grand Reunion, the Tampa RV Show Exhibit. They did the Skills Center opening of Tampa Bay. They can do those small events. They do the biggest of events. So if you were thinking about planning a meeting or special event, call the talented staff at Team EPI. They will give you a free creative meeting if you mention the JP Peterson Show. They will provide you with an exceptional experience. Heck, they'll even show you their huge warehouse with great props. Anything you want. They'll do it on time and on budget. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. They just worked on our homeowners insurance, saved us $500. As simple as that. Sent them our information, came back and said, here's a new company, just came into the state. They do great work. Here's $500 less than your previous. They do the work, you save the money. It's pretty easy. 813-877-7799. So if your property insurance rates have gone up, give them a call. They'll do it for free. See if they save you money. All right, let's bring in real estate tycoon, infomercial man, longtime sports guy, Brian Fasulo, co-host of the Daily Sports Source on Fox Sports Net with the great Rich Hollenberg and JP Peterson, one of the greatest shows of all time. Should have gotten multiple Emmys. What's up, brother? How are you?
Hey,
how did we miss out on getting Emmys for that?
I am swell. Great question. Did they have Emmys back then was the question. But
yes, they did.
But it is sure nice to be here. And you totally threw me off my game when you said, if your property insurance is going up, hint, hint, everyone's property insurance is going up and it's going to get a lot worse.
Yes, it is going to. Actually, there are new companies coming in because the rates have gotten so high. These new companies are like, oh, wait, let's go to Florida. These people are getting soaked. We can take some of that money in.
I think in a casual way, are we no longer allowed to say bad words on this show, or can we say bad words?
Actually, right now we're in a little bit of a technical snafu with the strike 102.5. So they're rewiring some stuff in their studio. So just like the long story short, we're not on the radio this week, so you can swear.
Shit. All right. So
you don't have to, but you don't really need unless you need to.
Yeah, no, I understand. So shall we talk racism or shall we talk racism, either in the Caitlin Clark or in the NIL arena? I'm amenable to both.
Well, let's start with Caitlin Clark. I don't know if you heard the latest, but some lunatic showed up at their hotel. Just to know which hotel the WNBA team is staying at is, I think you've done your homework. So he shows up there and he to accost Kennedy Carter as she gets off the bus. And of course he's yelling and screaming, security diffuses it. And of course, everybody's tweeting about it, what a horrible thing it is. And I'm like, okay.
That guy's lucky he didn't get his ass whipped.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, Christmas. You're
like,
barking up the wrong tree.
Why is this? I was like, why is the security stepping in? Kennedy Carter will whoop that dude's ass.
God,
like,
come on.
Who are you kidding? Just let her at him.
Yeah.
Let's go. Somebody video it because I want to watch her beat the hell out of this dude.
Which leads to really the question that's at hand here is, the question is it racism? And of course it's racism, but is it good or bad for engagement? Is it good or bad for driving revenue? And that's ultimately what this world comes down to, right? So things like that, and had she beaten the hell out of some stalker, engagement goes up, right? Revenues vis-a-vis go up. But it's a very dicey situation that only
I haven't even looked at it from that perspective, but you're 100% right.
Yeah. So I think you ask yourself the question, is a black girl going after, the white Michael Jordan of female basketball going to drive more viewers?
Yes.
And if it does, then the game is being played properly. Unfortunately, but perhaps properly, because they got to make money. That's been the problem.
Yeah. The WNBA has never turned a profit. It's been a humongous money loser for a long time, but revenues have gone from 60 million to 200 million before Caitlin Clark came in. 200 million in league revenues is it's peanuts. It's nothing.
Yeah.
But it's going up because of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. But yeah, because of Angel. Yeah, she's part of it. There's no question, but it's mostly Caitlin Clark.
Sure.
And there's so much subtext to this whole thing about it. But I find it interesting that you can admit that, and so many people can admit it. But people on ESPN are like, no, this has nothing to do with racism. This is just about basketball. She's a rookie. She's getting the same hazing that Angel Reese is getting. She's getting the same everything. And I'm like, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying.
If this happened between two white girls or two black girls, it ain't making
Nobody
the news.
cares.
This just in, it's happened for the last, however long they've been around, every other week for the last 10 years, but it didn't make the news, A, because it was a white superstar, and B, because it was interracial. Right. Does anybody disagree with that?
Kennedy Carter said, like, yo, bitch, right before she blindsided.
Now, it happens in the NBA every day between whites and blacks. We're just entering a new era. God bless them, bitch.
I don't see, like Angel Reese got absolutely destroyed the other night by one of the other players, veteran players, took her by the neck and slammed her down onto the floor. The girl got ejected, as she should, but nobody really talked about it. Nobody really cared. Yeah. Because as you said, it was black on black. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. And also that was more in the run of play. What happened here was not in the run of play at all. It was premeditated. It was yo bitch, boom. I mean, so you can't tell me that those are the same. And they're Rebecca Lobo, and they're all, you guys have never covered this league. You don't know how physical it is. I know what physical play is, and I know what cheap shots are. Yeah, that's a cheap shot. It's about jealousy. It's about racism. It's about now. There's a lot of people will go, okay, white people, how you like that? Yeah, it's racism.
and like, you know what? Okay. You know what we would say? We would say, does it drive revenue? Am I making money?
Yeah.
Because let's not kid ourselves. That's what it's all about. It's about nothing else. And you've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
When a once in a lifetime player, Michael Jordan, entered the NBA, you couldn't touch Mike. Like, you couldn't hammer him. You hammered Larry Bird before Mike.
No, they did hammer him, but then they came up with the Jordan rules.
Yes.
The league was smart enough to say, yo, guys, you're not going to do this to our golden goose.
Yes.
We're not going to, you touch him, you're going to get ejected. And what did the WNBA do for Caitlin Clark? Nothing.
Not yet. No.
And her own teammates didn't even come to her.
Right. Defense. Right. And since then, everybody is, Shaq got hammered after that, Barkley and all those guys. So, but when there's somebody that's that transformational in your league, time will tell, revenue will tell as to whether keeping her safe is smart or to continue to get her beat up so that it drives. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Let's talk NIL, or do you need a break?
I want to know if Nick wants to get in with these two old heads. Do you have anything to say on this, Nick?
On the whole Caitlin Clark thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the whole foul thing, to me, I do think been a bit overblown. Like, we talked about it on Monday when it became like this big topic. And I said the same thing, kind of like, okay, this happens in the NBA a lot. And the only reason why it's a big story is because it's Caitlin Clark. And I guess that makes it to part of the larger point when you hear so many people talking about, well, there's other reasons why people are watching the WNBA. Listen, that's fun to say and everything, but that's just not reality. And I'm not trying to, like, put a damper on the entire league, because, like I've been saying, she came in with some really talented players who in the college game were also big stars like Caitlin, not to the extent of her, but they were big stars. But for right now, she is what has resonated with the casual viewer. And even though everybody says, well, what about Breanna Stewart? And what about Diana Taurasi? What about these great players before them? Well, they just didn't catch the casual viewer. Like, I can't control that. Caitlin Clark caught the casual viewer. And so you have to sort of ride her coattails right now of popularity and fame. The WNBA, I mean, I watched First Take on Tuesday. The first 40 minutes, they're talking about this, the WNBA topic. And
that's right.
And so there's also something to be said about, even if they're talking about something negative, isn't it still kind of good because we're talking about your league for the first time?
Yeah.
Like, she's the meal ticket. And in my opinion, as long as you continue to ride her and grow the fan base and all the viewership, tickets, and all those things, the other players will get their shine eventually. Mm-hmm. But for right now, it is all about Caitlin Clark. And I don't see what's wrong with that.
Now, of the 6 top games this year in terms of average viewers, 5 of them had Caitlin Clark in it. The only one that did not was the Los Angeles Sparks against the Las Vegas Aces. Every other game had her in it. So, I mean, and then did you want to go a step further and just be crazy like that? It's because she's white, folks. Yeah. Let's go. I mean, Stephen A. would say it himself.
Yeah.
I think Stephen A. did talk about it on the segment I'm referring to on Tuesday. He did sort of bring up that there is a racial part of this.
Yes, of course.
And I think it's an uncomfortable conversation for many to want to have.
Well, and I was talking to Titus about this yesterday as well. It's like, he goes, this is such an opportunity. And we talked about this earlier. What an opportunity this is for Angel Reese to put her arm around Caitlin Clark, and say, hey, let's go make a shiz ton of money, and it's not going to be, I'm not going to be the foil here. She doesn't have to be, wear the black hat, so to speak. Maybe that's a bad phrase to use. She doesn't have to be the evil person here, but what if they embraced her and not just coddle her, but just said, come on in, girl. We love you. What if all these, instead of, and this goes for all the girls that have been talking about her before she got the league. I'm listening to Diana Taurasi, Rebecca Lobo, and they're all smirking and they're like, oh, wait till she gets to our league. It's going to be, instead of like going, man, it's going to be great to have Caitlin Clark. Isn't it going to be great? I can't wait till she gets there. Who's embraced her? Of all these girls, they're tolerating her. But who's actually reached out and embraced her?
Well, nobody. I'll take it a step further and say that, right now, the WNBA has an extraordinary marketing opportunity to take these other women and put them with special needs children, put them in the classrooms, show that side, and show that, that there's more to this league than, the girl with dreadlocks knocking over the girl who, is a white girl. Now, but I'll take it a step further and I'll say, perhaps they have been, and it fell on deaf ears. Now they have a much bigger microphone. Yes. Would people watch it, and would people change their opinion of what otherwise might have been a WNBA type thing?
Well, I was going to say too, the point you said about Angel, putting her arm around Caitlin, I actually think, because what really got Caitlin Clark to the popularity, I think she kind of needed that kind of foil, right? And Angel Reese and LSU was that foil. Mm-hmm. And that whole rivalry, like, why did 17 million people or whatever it was tune in for LSU and Iowa? It was because of Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Like, I'm not going to ignore Angel Reese's impact on Caitlin Clark's popularity and the way she played foil to that. And so now that they're in the WNBA together, I think that's the whole point. We want to see that rivalry continue. And they're both obviously first years, and that could catapult the league to new heights because that's what's happened in other leagues before is a rivalry takes over. And we all are interested in it.
Here's my point. In this time that we are so racially divided, and there's so many interests trying to divide us racially for whatever reasons, wouldn't this be a great time? Because you remember Magic and Larry were competitors.
Oh man, it was awesome.
They were respectful. They loved each other. They still do to this day. And they would go at each other but after the game was over, hey man, it's the bro hug. It was all that. That's not what's going on here. And let's be honest. The reason people are tuning in that is what? The black people are tuning in to see Angel Reese whoop her ass. The white people are tuning in to see if they can win. It's like a black. That's why we tuned in. And y'all don't want to admit it, but you know it's true. So what's happening now is we're getting further divided by this when it's the greatest opportunity to come together. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying is why don't all the people in the WNBA, because they have a historic opportunity. And Angel Reese even said that the other day. We have a great opportunity. I want to go down in history as the one that changed basketball because I'm going to be an asshole to her. How about you do it like Larry and Magic did and you compete on the floor and you're just awesome and you go at each other, but off the floor, you show after the game, you guys come together, you hug, we see it afterwards, you're hanging out, whatever it is. Don't you know how much more money you could make if you did that? Don't you know how much good you can do in this nation if you did that and show some leadership instead of pettiness? That's where the opportunity lies here. And I think it would be amazing because clearly the idiots that run this country can't do it. The idiots that are in the media here can't do it. But you guys have an opportunity to do it. And you're throwing it away because you want to be petty and nasty and jealous. It's ridiculous. I hope they get smart.
It could foster kumbaya and a Coca-Cola commercial. But at the end of the day, there is no Angel Reese without Caitlin Clark. I'm sorry.
Right.
And whatever drives engagement, whatever gets these guys more tickets, whatever gets them more money, good for them.
All right, let's talk a little. Oh, there's there is this about Kennedy. I don't even want to get into it too much about Kennedy Carter and her backstory. It's not good. And we're just learning more about it. She was a 4th overall pick. She got thrown off the Atlanta Dream. Goes to, I think it was LA. Same thing happens there. Everywhere she's gone, she's been an issue. And she becomes the focal point of this. And now is a focal point of being harassed by people outside the WNBA. It's not a good look for the league. And I don't know. And, of course, what they did after that game and how they handled it was absolutely awful. But that's a problem for the WNBA as well because she's got a history that is not something I'm sure the league wants to be in the spotlight, and it's not good. So
it worked out okay for Kyrie Irving.
It did. The thing is, Kyrie was good. If you're good enough, if you're good enough, a lot of your behavior is excused in sports. This just in.
Yeah.
If you suck. So who was the baseball player that just got banned for life for gambling? I forget his name. Anyway.
Marciano, something like that from Padres.
He's banned for life, like for making a few $100,000 in bets or whatever. Shohei Ohtani. Let's talk about that for a second. My boy's interpreter bets $5 million of your money in 2 years, and you know nothing about it.
Plausible deniability. Pete Rose wishes he had an interpreter. He said,
Shohei Ohtani, if you're good enough, you can get away with anything you want. But if you suck, banned for life. Here's a $700 million contract because you can hit better than that guy.
Heck yeah.
It's the world we live in. But that are you buying any of that, Fasulo? That hit the interpreter, takes the fall, says I'm guilty. He'll probably do house arrest in a mansion somewhere where he can bet all his money he's ever wanted to bet.
I
and the
can't
MLB
imagine.
just washes their hands clean, and Shohei Ohtani is off the hit more home runs.
What about taxes? What about the IRS? Where's the money trail? When is this going to, it gets bigger than them at some point.
Yeah.
And where is the theft and where is the prison? It'll continue to evolve, but I promise you the MLB will try to sweep it under the rug as long as they can keep Babe Ruth happy.
Yeah. By the way, we're going to talk about this later on. We'll talk about it now. Did you see the showdown last night with Paul Skeens? I don't know if you saw this kind of so he's the new phenom throwing 100 miles an hour through 16 pitches over 100 miles an hour. So he goes up against Ohtani last night. First at bat, 100 right by him. He's just like, I'm throwing it as hard as I can, taking 101 right by him, 100 right by him, three whiffs, and Ohtani goes to the next time up, 100 right by him, 99 outside, swing and a miss, 0-2, third one at 100, boom, 400 feet. Ohtani hits it dead center. I'm like, those are the best 2 at-bats I've seen in a long, long time. That was freaking wow. That was so fun to watch. And it was just like, here it is, hit it. The best hitter, best pitch. That was just that. And that's the magic of baseball. When stuff like that happens, it's just, it's magic.
That's awesome.
Magic. All right. So let's go, since we have Mr. Marketing Man here, let's start talking about NIL for high school athletes and college, because your daughter, Gabby, on full scholarship at TCU, been following around their beach volleyball program, national championship tournament again this year. So they're at the elite level of, quote, non-revenue sports. But you've also seen it from a player standpoint. You've covered it from a sportscaster standpoint. What the opportunities now for these athletes, and you're a marketing genius, are just off the chain. Well, but now you can go help the kid down the street at Plant High School get himself a nice little NIL.
Let me take this down a different road, because what just took place was the NCAA settling with former and current players to pay them, and my daughter's not full scholarship, by the way. Beach volleyball, which is the fastest growing sport in the NCAAs, has 6 scholarships. Okay, baseball has 11.8, football has like 85. But what just took place with the NCAA, which is pretty unbelievable, under the terms of the agreement, the NBA will pay $2.7 billion in damages over 10 years to past and current athletes. This isn't something I knew until very recently. Meaning there are people who are listening to this radio show right now who may have gotten a partial, may have gotten nothing, may have played at Division III Widener. Actually, this is Division I, excuse me, mostly Power 5. Who will can opt into the settlement of this. And then in addition, moving forward, each school will get $20 million per year for its athletes. And that's still in trust and in litigation and everything else. But what they're trying to do, well, actually, so if you have any questions about that in the past, fire away, or I can move on to where this is sort of going in terms of rewriting the rules of roster caps. Yeah. So what I want to get from you, and I want to kind of zero in on what's going on in the college game, because you see this. Mm-hmm. So how much, these girls, Olivia Dunn supposedly is making $4 million a year at LSU on the gymnastics team. I don't even know if she's one of their better gymnasts, but she's great on Instagram. She looks fantastic. She knows how to work it. When she shows up at gymnastic events, there's throngs of fans waiting for her outside and of course inside as well, paying to see her. So I'd like to get, what does it look like from the inside as you watch the girls play in beach volleyball? So, it's a phenomenon. Yeah. And it is, it's completely outside of the sport. However, it has to go through the collective, which is part of the sport.
Right.
And it is what it is for the tens of thousands of Division I and Division II college athletes. If somebody catches lightning in a bottle, they do, and more power to them. Yeah, they're good-looking kids. They're having a ball. It is what it is. It's not indicative of any school, any athlete. It's lightning in a bottle. Your average kids are going to, outside of football, which drives 95% of revenue. My daughter gets she gets free tacos at a taco place. She gets leggings and she signs volleyballs. So her and she also works in the NIL department part-time.
Oh,
but
wow.
yeah, those people, those Olivia Dunns and whatnot, lightning in a bottle. God bless them.
But it's not for everybody. It's not happening for all of them.
No, not even a small percentage.
Yeah. So now with high school NIL, it was just a report that 2 kids, one from Orlando Jones and one's from Jacksonville High School, 2 wide receivers who play on an elite 7-on-7 team, got NIL deal done with American Eagle, and they're already putting it up on social media. Now, unfortunately, this it's not supposed to be taking effect until July 24th. So they're already talking about investigating them to see if they've gotten money early. I'm like, are you serious? Whatever. But like this, you want to talk about Pandora's box opening up. You've got coaches that get a $3,000 stipend in the state of Florida. And now their players are going to be making Lord knows how much money, these elite players, because that money is going to be funneled to them because they're elite players. Because why? The person that's paying them at the high school level is funneling them to their favorite college. Now, is that a bad thing?
It's all bad. Everything about NIL is well, not everything about NIL is bad. Kids getting paid, Ed O'Bannon.
It's good.
It's good.
It's right.
But what it's doing is, and you see by virtue of the fact that Nick Saban hauled ass, it's no longer about sports. It's no longer about loyalty. It's no longer about alma mater. It's about me. So there needs to be something to even the playing field to get back to what once was a sport. Right. Perhaps this settlement and agreement could be a catalyst to reel some of this shit in, because to ask Mike Norvell for $50,000 just to make a trip to Tallahassee to visit the school has changed the complexities. It's no longer about X's and O's. It's about Jocks and Joes, and it's awful.
Yeah. The implementation of it is a nightmare because, you have kids asking, you're going to have to pay me to take an official visit. And you know what? If they're good enough, if everybody else is doing it, you got to start doing it.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. I get it. But, I say this all the time. The administrators that brought this on themselves by being incredibly greedy for the past 30 years and trying to keep all the money when they knew eventually they were going to get screwed. And they were going to eventually have to pay the piper, which is what they're having to do now with this settlement. And we knew what was coming. But now they need to rewrite the rules, blow it all up, and put the guardrails in place and fix all this stuff. And there's going to have to be immense leadership on this because the bigger programs are going to try to be greedy and try to keep all the money. They're not going to want to share it with the smaller programs. But if you're going to get a level playing field and you're going to get uniformity across the major conferences, so we have a level playing field, that's what these rules have always been about. And of course, keeping the players down, then somebody's going to have to show leadership. Somebody's going to have to give up money to make it an even playing field. Do you think that's going to happen in this American society of greed and capitalism that we live in?
It has to.
It has to for the sport to survive.
Yeah. The sport could have gone bankrupt by this $2.7 billion.
And there's still legislation out there. This doesn't end it. That is correct. There's still one, I think it's Fremont versus the NCAA, that is about the TV rights deals.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be even bigger than the $2.7 billion.
2 years ago, my favorite thing I would say for a long, long time is there's 2 great stories in college football this year. It's TCU making it to the national championship and the incredible failure of Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher.
That's right.
Because you give a guy all the money nobody's got more dough than A&M. And that guy completely shat the bed, and it's the funniest story in NCAA football. Of course, who's laughing?
Funny?
Because he walks with so much.
He walks with $60 million.
Yes. Yeah.
That money that could be going to so much the athletes, could do so good. Like, that's a broken system. That is a complete. And you know what? And people say, well, you can't limit what the coaches make. Why not? We're going to be limiting what the players make. Why can't we put a cap on coaches' salaries? $5 million.
Yeah.
Is that not enough? We'll do inflation increasers so you get 100% inflation every year as it goes up. So can we not do that?
Great question. Eventually, collective bargaining is going to have to come into all of this, and it's going to have to be equitable. The proverbial walls have been broken down. The kids are finally being recognized for their efforts. right now, and then FSU suing. We're in the wild west right now.
It's crazy.
But I think invariably the cream has to rise to the top. Cooler heads have to prevail, and it will take the law to enforce it.
Yeah, unfortunately. All right, partner. Always good to chat with you. Don't be a stranger.
It is
come back
always
in when
a
there's
pleasure.
something tickles your fancy.
Yeah, and remember, take that club outside and then drop that shoulder. Keep your elbow in.
You gave me the best golf tip the other day. Oh my God. Oh, that was pure magic, brother.
Love it. Take care, man.
See you, man. Thank you.
See you. All right, bye.
Just one little tip. I was taking it inside, too far inside, told me to take it up. Magic.
Never too old to learn.
Magic. That's the game of golf. Just one little thing. When you're young, you just everything's in the groove, right? You just muscle memory, and when you get old, you lose all that. So you lose, your setup will just turn wrong or something. And you just need a pair of eyes to look at it and go, right. Oh yeah, you're taking it in, take it up. Ba-boom. Things change. It's we've been warning against this for decades, and it's here upon us. But not even I thought it would get to this level. And the high school stuff, what's interesting is the high school coaches are now bitching about what about us getting NIL? Absolutely, right. They should.
Yeah, like I think there's a fascinating conversation to be had about everything that's going on. And I was going to present this because I know we got to hit a break here in a second. I'm going to present to you this little pie chart because obviously I work at On3, and we're sort of at the forefront of NIL. And stuff that goes on there. Yeah. And we actually had the On3 Elite Series, it's like a convention type thing last week. And I think it was 41 of the nation's top football recruits were all there. And there was some interesting data that was collected that I'd like to share to you. It shows you a little bit of what kids are prioritizing nowadays in the NIL era and how it relates to the Dan Hurley news that comes down today. I think there's a fascinating conversation to come out of that.
Well, we're going to do it. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll get to all that. We still got we heard from Baker Mayfield, the second half of his interview that we have not run just yet. Some good stuff there. Kancey. We'll talk some more Rays and NBA playoffs. So much stuff. And by the way, June 6th, you know what that is? No, you don't because you went to public school.
I do know what it is. Thank you.
What is it?
It's D-Day.
That's
80th,
right.
80th anniversary.
How about that? Thank you very much.
I minored in political science. I went to all these classes.
They literally don't teach D-Day anymore in public. I've been told this as a fact. So we want to remember this day, the greatest day in the history of freedom in the modern times. Without the invasion of Europe by the Allies, we probably would all be speaking German. So let's thank the great men who literally sacrificed their lives, knew they were going to die in a hellstorm, and did it anyway for our freedom so we could sit here and talk about sports and other stuff. So to those gentlemen and those heroes, we can never give you enough thanks, you and your families. Those are the true heroes. And if you want to find out what it's all about, go watch the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan, the most realistic depiction of D-Day that you will ever get. And it's not easy on the stomach. It's not easy on the heart, but you must watch it and make your kids watch it too when they're of age and let them understand what real sacrifice is about. Real sacrifice. So wanted to say that. Back in 3 minutes. Stay with us. Are you looking to be more productive and healthier? Do you know chronic dehydration affects your overall health and well-being? 75% of the U.S. population suffers from dehydration, and many of us don't even know it. That was me before I was introduced to Hydrate Heroes. 8 times the benefits with hydration. A beverage with benefits more than just hydration. That's right, 8 times the benefits with hydration. Hydrate Heroes provides a refreshing, great-tasting beverage powder to mix with water, providing elderberry, zinc, vitamin D, electrolytes, amla fruit, which provides a great source of vitamin C, along with a proprietary mushroom blend that has shown to help increase endurance and energy at the cellular level. Hydrate Heroes is so confident you're going to love the taste and the results. They are offering our listeners a special offer, a free 3-pack sample, no credit card needed. Just go to the jppetersonshow.com, the jppetersonshow.com, and click on Hydrate Heroes logo. Hydrate for health today with Hydrate Heroes. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Hey, the Golden Diamond Source Memorial Day sale is on. You got a graduation coming up right now. You want to get a gift? What better way than to go to the Golden Diamond Source right now? Your destination for over 40 years, if you can dream it. They have it all under one roof. Folks, graduation gifts are very, very special. So get them something shiny, something that will last a lifetime. And that's the Golden Diamond Source. They have a tremendous selection there, great customer service. And of course, if you're selling or trading jewelry right now, you can get the highest trade-in value of the year for your diamonds. Upgrade today and use that money towards a graduation gift. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here for Extravaganza Productions. You know, I've worked with these pros on so many big and small events. They recently did the Kappa Alpha Psi Grand Reunion. the Tampa RV Show exhibit. They did the Skills Center opening of Tampa Bay. They can do those small events. They do the biggest of events. So if you were thinking about planning a meeting or special event, call the talented staff at Team EPI. They will give you a free creative meeting if you mention the JP Peterson Show. They will provide you with an exceptional experience. Heck, they'll even show you their huge warehouse with great props. Anything you want. They'll do it on time and on budget. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at American Mortgage Services and the Geddes Gordon Group for all your real estate needs. Had Jane on the show yesterday, really had some interesting things to say about the Caitlin Clark situation and women's sports. So if you missed that, go check out yesterday's podcast. She was on in the 11:15 segment. So check that out. And for all your real estate needs, the Geddes Gordon Group, she told us the market is still pretty good in Tampa. People are buying and selling homes. So if you need someone to sell your home or you're looking for a new unit, if you need a new unit, the Geddes Gordon Group will help you out. Find out a new place to live. Just go to their website, gettysgordongroup.com. All right, partner, set the stage for this. You got a pie chart to show us? This is exciting. I feel like I'm back in class.
Yeah, this is a little pie chart here that I'm going to share with y'all. Let me pull it up here from my Twitter real quick. And this is from the On3, like I said, Elite Series that took place last week with 41 top recruits present. So let me share my screen.
Mm-hmm. So they were just, this is for NIL deals or just?
Yeah, it was just about, NILs and so here it was. It was an anonymous little survey here.
Okay.
And so you hear majority of desired financial packages, and the median was like $400K.
Okay.
5 participants that admitted they had offers of over $1 million. And then they have down here biggest NIL concerns. And one of them is funny. You could read it down here. It says Jalen Rashada was one of the most popular answers, which is a little funny.
What are the other ones? I can't read them.
People lying to me, saying numbers just to get me to commit.
Wow.
Then being scammed into a bad situation were the top 2 concerns. But this little chart, this little thing over here, simple question. Would you take less NIL for the right fit? And it was 54% yes. So you could do the math easily there. That means 46%
are just going for the most money.
Yeah, they just want the most money over the right fit. And, I focus on that. It's such a simple question, but what kind of does that show you about college athletics? And meanwhile, we've already known this, but you have 46% from this survey here telling you, yeah, I want the NIL money over no matter where I'm going. And maybe it's like it's always in their back pocket that, hey, after a year or whatever, if it doesn't work out, if I'm in the bad situation, well, guess what? I can just go transfer anyway. Yeah. So maybe that's part of it, but it just kind of shows you, and these are still high school kids who haven't even gotten into the collegiate world yet. And this is where the priority lies. And
I think a lot of fans are more concerned about the ability to transfer. And I do think it's going to affect the quality of play. I think it already has affected the quality of play. And it's one of the reasons the big coaches are leaving. It's one of the reasons Dan Hurley is probably going to take the Lakers job after winning back-to-back championships at UConn, because no coaches want to deal with the uncertainty of NIL. You're constantly having to recruit your team, not on a yearly basis, not on a monthly basis.
Yeah, and it's
on
not
a daily basis.
It's not even just recruiting, hey, I want to get the top guy in this class or one of the top players. No, they have to do this daily and go to these events that they don't want to have to be at to go get a backup shooting guard or whatever. Right. That's where it's at right now. And so that's why this whole thing, it's like, take note of what's happening here. In a span of 6 months, we saw the greatest collegiate head coach in football ever walk away from the game. Now, was he older? Yeah.
Yeah, but he still had plenty of years left.
But the way college football and college athletics is set up now made it easier for him to just walk away. Jim Harbaugh wins a national championship at his alma mater of all places, right? You would think, where else, how higher can it get? He goes back to the NFL. And now we have this bombshell this morning where, again, I woke up and immediately I was hit with this news from Woj, a true Woj bomb here.
Yeah.
That the Lakers are prioritizing and targeting Dan Hurley to be their next head coach, and they're preparing a huge offer to get him to go away from UConn. And again, this is the sport's best head coach right now, who is potentially going to go to the NBA. And listen, part of this is it's the Lakers. If the Lakers come calling, I get it. That's a once-in-a-lifetime gig. I got it. But I do think, though, Dan Hurley's not the only one. If you're a coach in college basketball, college football, and the pros come calling, at the very least, because of the way everything is set up now, you have to at least hear it out at this point, because it's so much less of a headache than it is for the college game. And it probably drive you insane, and you'll probably end up having a shorter coaching career, to be honest, because of it.
And, it's going to become a professional model. It has to become a professional model. And people are like, oh, that's going to ruin college ball. No, it's not. No, it's not. If they're still wearing Florida State across their chest and they're still playing in Doak Campbell Stadium and they're still playing the Florida Gators, nothing really changes, and that's what we want to preserve. So listen, if it becomes I was talking with some guys on the golf course the other day. Oh, I don't want to become a pro model. I'm like, why not?
It's already on its way there.
Yeah. What that does is just legitimize what we're doing.
Yeah.
Legitimizes it.
You have to put
money's on top of the
contracts.
table instead of under the table.
Yeah. You're going to have to start putting contract. I think that's the next evolution of this is
and what does that
contracts.
Do? Yeah. It keeps the guys from transferring because guess what?
And
They're under contract.
Yeah. Because the coaches then know, how they can plan for the future, and they have these players. They don't have to worry about them transferring. I'm sure there'll still be transfer rules that allow players to do it.
Right.
But there'll be more guidelines, because right now there's no guidelines.
Right.
There's zero.
See, what you have here is you can have, you want to go to Florida State University. We're going to give you an NIL deal for $4 million for the 4 years. But guess what? You're not transferring. Now, of course, this goes both ways. The kid sucks. you still gotta. So what are the outs going to be?
It makes it more of a strategy type game. Like if you have a certain budget of how much money you can pay people,
and maybe you give maybe in each contract there's a mutually agreeable transfer, right? A mutually agreeable transfer for one time or two times, whatever it is. You can have could we have trade scenarios? I don't think that would be wise. That I would think that every player should retain a no trade clause, that if he would have to agree to the trade, right? Yeah. That's kind of like an agreed port. I think maybe that's something, because I think you would want some portability of some type, but controlled portability, not I can go into the portal every year, get more money, blah, blah, blah. That's crazy. That's crazy. Imagine having free agency in the NFL every period. You can't, it would be bananas. So folks, welcome a pro model, welcome collective bargaining, welcome all. Who doesn't want collective bargaining? All the administrators, because now they're going to finally have to pay the players what they're worth. Now, here's what becomes interesting. All this extra money that, football and basketball, men's football and men's basketball, have been producing the revenue for all the sports for decades. That's the revenue model. So, for everybody that says, well, the badminton player needs to get as much money as the starting quarterback, you're ridiculous.
No, is not. We're not.
You're ridiculous.
Does
the new salesman get as much as the top salesman who's been there 30 years and has all the connection, has done all the works? No. So that's not the way
under this model, like college football and college basketball, because those are the two by far money makers. They have to. They almost have to split. Like they have to completely split. College football has to be its own entity, and college basketball has to be its own entity,
or a combined
separate
entity.
Or combined, separate away. Under this scenario, the NCAA needs to be abolished and forgotten about. The less we talk about it, the better. And remember, because to be honest, there's not too much good to remember.
That's right.
Abolish the NCAA, and those two become separate entities or a together entity, and that's how it's going to work. And nobody should complain about the swimmer and this and that. Not saying they don't deserve. They can have their own world of NIL and whatever, and pay them whatever. But they're never going to get the rate that a football player or a basketball player does. That's not reality. It's just not reality.
So there's all kinds of ways to do this, but it has to be with some leadership.
Yeah.
And the player, and I'm all for players having power. I'm all for them having power, but we also have to remember these are still now with high schoolers, 14-year-old kids, 15, 16, 17. There's got to be some guardrails on these kids.
The high school thing is ridiculous to me. I couldn't be any more against all of this. All of this in regards to having NIL for high school players. It's one thing to totally just remove education from being a collegiate athlete, because we know these guys don't care about education, the overwhelming majority of them, especially those who have their eyes on the pros. Okay. But in high school, we can't completely lose sight of the fact that school comes first over athletics and it should, in my opinion, when you are a 14 to 17-year-old kid.
Yeah, I agree with that. And
you still live at home with your parents. You're not classified as an adult. Having NIL then for that seems completely ridiculous to me, when we can't even pay fair wages to mostly these people are teachers and administrators and PE coaches who take on these jobs of being then coaches for these sports, and they don't get paid anything.
Well, but now with NIL, I think the coaches should be able to make NIL as well. And that would be booster organizations, Hillsborough County or Hillsborough High School football saying, we want to keep Earl Garcia around. He's a really good coach. We're going to collect our booster. Now, they've had rules for years that would you raise money for booster, you have to put it into a pot that is then communally dispersed. Like you're not even raising it for your own team, a portion of it. So if you have a good program and you want to keep your coach, go get the local pizza shop or the local, hey, if there's a rich parent that wants to keep the coach around, pay the coach. He's worth it. I don't have a problem with that. And I don't think anybody should. It looks like you do.
I don't want NIL anywhere near high school athletics. That just to me is just overcomplicating it for whatever reason. And we're just,
but then you're getting into the same thing that we did with college athletics.
High school athletics should not be compared to a college athletic. It's so different. And just the idea of a 14 to 15-year-old kid, no matter how prodigy or whatever, having endorsement deals and things like that all over the place.
Jennifer Capriati did.
Going to school.
I'm not saying it worked out well for her. The Williams sisters did.
Yes, I know certain sports have that culture, like tennis, and I'm sure golf is another one.
Because they're not regulated by a bunch of bureaucrats. They're regulated by sporting governing bodies.
And realistically,
and even those have rules.
Realistically, so the 15-year-old makes money off because they're good at high school sports and whatever. What are they doing with that money?
Well, that's up to their parents and them.
I feel like if I was in that situation, my parents would have been like, okay, cool, you could start paying rent now with that money.
Well,
that's all that would end up happening. That's all that would end up happening in some situations. But I don't know. I just feel like we're giving money away in large amounts of money.
Didn't your parents
kids younger and younger, when they don't need it?
Didn't your parents ever teach you the golden rule?
What?
The man or woman who makes the gold makes the rules. That's the golden rule.
Right.
And as long as you're living in my house and I'm paying for everything, you're playing by my rules. To which the kid could come back and say, well, I'm going to go get my own house.
Correct. That's exactly how that conversation would go.
I'm going to go buy my own house. Well, listen, these are
there
family.
Has to be, and here's
these
the
are
thing
good
too.
family problems to have.
You're teaching them at a younger age then that, hey, it is all about the money. Yes, we know the dirty truth is it is eventually going to be all about the money.
These are such great lessons that you can teach.
When you're a kid, though, in my opinion, you're still a kid. And we talk about this all the time about how they take the fun at everything. At that rate, to me, you should be focusing about this and that. It's still supposed to be fun. To an extent, we're playing for love of the game, and then now we're going to introduce money being paid into it. I don't like the thing. I just don't like. We can worry about that when we get to college and we get to the pros.
Here's the thing, Nick, and this has been going on for decades. Eric Dickerson's still going to get that Trans Am. He's still going to, that may not translate to you, but that was the first the Pony Express SMU back in the 80s, and everybody's like, how the hell did Eric Dickerson get that Trans Am? Because some booster bought it for him. He still says it was his grandma with a smart smirk on his face, but he knows, everybody knows it wasn't.
So he was in high school. He was getting paid to go to SMU. It's always going to happen. But now if we regulate it, we could say, okay, listen, you got to put your NIL deal on top of the table. And that money goes into a trust that your parents control. I'm just throwing rules out there that you can earn it. And now the parents are in control of what's going on. Now, I'm sure that there are certain parents out there that won't know how to handle that. But to me, that's the best way to do it, is that if you're going to get an NIL, you have to set up a trust in which the money goes into the trust that is controlled by your parents. The kid can use that for educational expenses, living expenses, and what have you. And if he wants to, if they want to dole it out to the house, to the home to pay the rent, so be it. But I just don't think you can ever, and I think we've learned this now through this college experience, control whether someone can make money or not. You've got 9-year-old kids, YouTubers, that are making, $1 million a year doing whatever, playing whatever video games they're playing, and people are watching and they're getting paid. So we're going to regulate every little kid until you're 18. You can't make any money on YouTube or Instagram. It's a Pandora's box. So instead of saying, no, I don't want it, I don't like it, let's welcome it in, put some guardrails on it as best we can. There's not going to be a perfect system to any of this, but put some common sense guardrails on these things so that everybody benefits. I think that's the only sane way to, because if you try to put these, no, you're not going to get paid. You know what you're going to do? You're going to get sued, and you're going to end up just like the NCAA with a $2.7 billion noose around your neck trying to figure out how the hell we're going to do this. That's just the reality of it.
Maybe I'm living in the past. I don't know.
Here you are. You're the old.
All I know is I wasn't some elite.
I'm the progressive.
I'll just say I wasn't some elite athlete, so I can't even sympathize with the fact that somebody would try to give me NIL money in high school. Okay, but I just know why I played sports in high school, and it was never focused on, man, I can't wait. It was never focused on those other things. It was about the aspect playing for love of the game, being around your teammates. Like, to me, that's still what high school sports is all about.
For 99.9% of the athletes, that's what it's going to be about. The elite athletes will get money like they've always gotten through AAU basketball.
Is that a good thing? Is that a good thing for a kid then to go to school in high school and everybody to know how much money this kid's making? Is that great for for a kid to go to school and everybody know, hey, he makes so and so with so and so?
Is it better that he comes to school and he's dripping in jewelry and they say, how'd you get the money? And he goes, oh, I can't tell you. I mean, it's going to happen. So why not regulate it, put it on top of the table, and so everybody knows what's going on? I just there's no way to put, the toothpaste back in the tube. It's out. And I think I think kids will learn great lessons from learning how to market themselves. What if On3 came to you in high school and said, you know what? We read your columns in the student newspaper, and we think you're really, really good. And we'd like to pay you $250 per article to write about your great high school football team right there. No, sorry, I can't accept that money because I'm not allowed to take it. That's dumb. That's dumb. What and what are you gonna suddenly become some rogue? Use that money to fund your drug business? Maybe, I don't know, but hopefully not. And maybe you'll learn how to save money, invest it into other companies, and make money. And when you get out of college, instead of being $200,000 in debt, you have money in the bank ready to go because you were allowed to earn it in high school. I don't think any of these things are insurmountable problems and can be seen as a tremendous benefit in learning experience, as opposed to some evil, all about money entity. You can make it all about money if you want, but you don't have to. That's not part of it. If I'm a parent, I'm like, hey, this is great. You're getting money, but let's control it. Let's understand it.
Here's the second.
Let's figure out what it's all about and make as much money as we can. Let's learn how to market you.
Here's the other part of this conversation, and you got to walk with me a little bit because I was just thinking about this as we've been talking through this. So this might be super, like these two might not even connect. So NIL becomes a thing for high school athletes. We've had conversations about the sort of youth sports system a lot on this show and the way that it works now and the flaws in it and how it turns into too much talk about, hey, my future, I have to do this and this and that. And I, like baseball, for example, I've got to be touching 85 by this point of my career when I turn this age and everything. Now you introduce this part to it. Is there a potential this just sort of makes those issues even more greater, that, okay, now instead of like, it's one thing to chase it, like I said, at the collegiate level or the pro level or get drafted, whatever. But now we're chasing it even younger and younger. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? These two might not correlate whatsoever, but that's the way I'm starting to think of it.
It does. And it's a great point. But I'm here to tell you that already exists. The parents, and when their kids are 10 years old, are like, oh, this kid's going to the big leagues. He's going to the big leagues, and we're going to put him in 24/7, 365 baseball, and that's travel ball after travel ball after travel ball. The lunatic parents are always going to be there, whether they're chasing money or the college scholarship, which essentially is the same thing. So that already exists.
Yeah,
Nick.
And I mean,
but I see there's more of a carrot when it's hard dollars. I see that.
Yeah,
but again, to me, it just elevates the conversation that you have to have with yourself and with your children. It's about life. Is it about money? Is it about getting the bag? Or is it about enjoying the journey, learning life experiences, being a good human being, making great choices that aren't based on money? Yeah. At all points of life, we've got to learn that lesson.
And I say it all the time. I said earlier in the show, the uncomfortable part of it that nobody wants to tell you is when you get into the real world and you become an adult and you're there and you do whatever you want to do. You do what you want to do that you love based on the rate that they pay you. There's always going to be that discussion based on how much money am I making. That's just a part of it. Like I've had a few jobs already in 3 years. Like I know how it works. It's uncomfortable, but you're looking to make the most money that you can. And you're a fool if you say you're not. Like,
well, I mean, I think it's a give and take. We talk about this all the time with free agents. Stamkos, Mike Evans, all of them. It's a give and take. And I know that's a different level because they're choosing between 25 million and 22 million. It's a little different. I get it. But still, it's a choice. And as I will tell you to the day I die, that I think if you're making decisions based solely on money, you're making the wrong decision. You're using it has to be part of it. There's no question about it.
Yeah, it's a big part of it.
Don't be stupid. It's a big part of it. But that's the reason, if it's the number one reason, I'd say 90% of the time you're going to make the wrong choice. But, again, let's start learning and teaching these things at an early age. And by the way, we're talking about a minority, of kids that are going to be able to get NIL money in high school. It's a very small minority.
Yeah, that sure was part of it. Like the third pitcher on your depth chart probably isn't,
Right. All right, we got to take a break. We got a lot more to get to, so we kind of got off topic a little bit, but I think it's on topic, right? Especially for today. Fascinating conversation. We'll take a quick break. Chris Lugo is standing by from Bay Area Modern Medical Center. We're going to talk about blood pressure and how that affects your life and how you can control that. Very important thing. We're brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Go to the website and give them a call. Put your appointment in right there. You don't have to call anybody. You can book your appointment right there on the website. Get that personal attention that you deserve with a doctor that's going to spend with a hell of a lot more time with you than your normal doctor. I can guarantee you that. BAMMC.com. Back in 3. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man, Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent-rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do
5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
With over 34 years of producing small and large events, Extravaganza Productions is truly a Tampa treasure when it comes to creating some of the very best events in Tampa and all across the United States. I've worked with them at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame inductions, the Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-sized event spread across all of Tampa Bay. They are the very best, from small meetings to exceptionally large corporate conferences to galas, fundraisers, sporting events, grand openings, whatever you want. Team EPI has an extremely talented staff of designers and show producers that develop extraordinary events fueled by the visions of their clients. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source. Father's Day, that's right. Father's Day is coming up. Don't forget the big event, Thaddeus Bullard Family Foundation out at the AMP. We will be there. Get your tickets at their website. And don't forget to go to the Gold and Diamond Source where you can get Dad something that is timeless and elegant. That's what he wants. The Gold and Diamond Source has the largest selection of men's jewelry, from classic washes to cufflinks. Remember cufflinks? To rings. There's something for every dad to enjoy. Their staff is happy to help you and guide you through that selection process because they have the best staff in the world. And enjoy a peace of mind of knowing that your Gold and Diamond Source piece never loses its value. So if it's got diamonds in it, you can bring it back and trade up and get the value that you paid for it. It's the largest selection of jewelry under one roof, like shopping at 10 different jewelry stores in one. And right now, 5 years interest-free financing, which means you can get a $5,000 piece and only pay $83 a month. That's one hell of a watch. This Father's Day, give Dad a gift that he will cherish forever. Visit the Gold and Diamond Source and find that perfect token of your love and gratitude, because your dad deserves the best, because dads are awesome. Well, good dads are awesome. Bad dads are not so awesome. That's the way I see it. We have some breaking news.
Yeah, we do. The Bucks have signed, according to Mike Garafolo of NFL Network, Sterling Shepard on a, I'm going to assume here, a 1-year, very low money deal. Who, if you remember, he's been with the Giants for the entirety of his career. I think 8 years already, if you can believe it. 31 years old. Fell out of favor, certainly, last year, and the 2 previous years before that, hardly could stay on the field. So there's been some injury concerns, but of note, he played with Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma in 2015.
Oh, that's right.
And I had his numbers right here in front of me that year.
They were a big deal.
Yeah, they were dynamite together. He had like over 86 catches, 1,288 yards, and 11 touchdowns together in 2015. So I mean, if anything, it just gives them some more depth at the position. I'm sure he'll be fighting for a roster spot, and with Devin Tompkins out of the organization, and if you've been following that story, probably for good. I think that's
the door is not open.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think Todd might have slipped up a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think it was probably not knowing, the whole story. There's always two sides to a story,
right?
So.
And I think his attorney put out his side last night, so I don't know.
But there's again, if we were talking about Mike Evans, which of course we wouldn't be, there would be some, we want to hear all sides, and the door would be open. But when you're a fringe player, you don't get that benefit of the doubt. You just don't. And that's the way it works. So, all right, let's welcome in our good friend, Chris Lugo from Bay Area Modern Medical Center. What's up, Lugo? How are you, man?
How's it going, guys?
Good. Big Gator night last night at the Tampa Sports Club Hall of Fame.
The old ball coach,
I
yes.
should have had you there last night. My bad.
I could have worn my helmet for him.
Yeah. The old head ball coach was good, man. He had some great stories. And, of course, Thaddeus Bullard, Gator, Aaron Andrews. Yeah. So it was a fun night.
Nick,
fun night.
I completely agree with you on the NIL in high school. And I'll give you my scientific reason. And JP's going to roll his eyes right now. But one of the jokes that we say in the Army is like these young kids who come in as recruits, like your frontal lobe is not developed. You cannot comprehend and understand the hugeness that's going on when you're getting money via NIL. In college, at least that frontal lobe is almost there, that you're starting to grasp that concept. But as a kid, you're not. You're going to have kids that are going to argue with parents that's my money. They're going to get Morgan and Morgan involved. They're going to get Jeeves Law Group involved. They're going to get sued. Like it's like Pandora's box. You're under my roof. You live by my rules. I agree with you, JP, on that. When you're in college, you're not on mom and dad's rules anymore. Go get a tattoo. Go do whatever you want, bro. You're paying your own bills then. And if you're getting NIL money, but I think that's just, some people say money is the root of all evil, but that is going to open up like a big ordeal with a lot of families. And that could divide a lot of families, I think, and that would never have had issues before. There's not one kid who did not get to where they were without their parents.
Absolutely.
100%.
That's like I said in the first
drivers. Like there's not an F1 driver that's never thanked their mom and dad for taking them to the kart track every freaking week
2 hours away, right,
to go race. Like they all know how much time and energy they put in there. There is a specific attorney in this Tampa region whose son plays baseball. Like I've seen him at baseball games back in the day who were like yelling at his kid, but like I knew he wanted that so much for his kid. That's who the parents are for, is for the kids. Are they living vicariously through their kids? A majority are. That's beside the point. But those kids,
their frontal lobes are not fully developed.
Frontal lobes aren't fully developed.
I just want kids to be kids, Chris. Is that so hard to ask?
Oh, 100%.
That's why I just had my
G. Willikers, kid. Let's do that for the beeve. Guys,
I don't know.
Let's just. It's 1965 again, and we can do all that. Gee whiz, you guys are living in a freaking fantasy world, man. Welcome to the real world of Instagram and YouTube kids,
plenty of time,
and 12 and 8-year-olds. I've got people out there telling me that 8-year-olds can decide to have their wiener chopped off, and that's all fine. They shouldn't even be consulting their parents. So we can't get a little bit of NIL money. I mean, what are you guys talking about?
Aren't developed.
Exactly. So we can do that, but we can't give them a little bit of lunch money. Come on. I mean, it's just the world has gone crazy. Well, that's why. Listen, I agree with you guys philosophically. If we could, in a perfect world, shut that down, I'm with you. But here's the problem: the adults with their fully frontal lobe developed in college have screwed all that up because they were greedy and wanted to keep all the money. And now this is what you get. And now we have this, and we'll have it trickles down. Because guess what? You're going to start to see TV rights for high school football and baseball and flag football competitions because people are going to watch them on TV. ESPN is already making a crap ton of money off the Little League World Series, exploiting 12-year-old children. Okay? Why aren't those players getting part of that money? I mean, we've opened up Pandora's box. Some of it is good. It would be great if it was nothing about money. But if you adults are going to sit there and make hundreds of millions of dollars off 12-year-olds playing Little League, well, guess what? We're going to have to even the playing field here a little bit. So we can do this responsibly. And like I said, there's opportunity for growth here. And yeah, guess what? Britney Spears' parents took all of her money or whatever the hell. Right? You're going to have people, young child actors have sued their parents for their money, right? It's the world we live in. It's going to happen. But I think we're lying to ourselves if we think we can control it by just saying nobody gets any money. The parent, no, we're not going to do it. I just don't think it's a real world. So instead of, putting your head in the sand. Let's figure out a positive way to control this stuff so everybody benefits as much as possible. That's all I'm saying. I'm with you guys. I wish we could have that perfect, beaver cleaver world, but those days are far gone. And here we are. All right.
Hey, how about this Bucks signing? Right, that's a good signing they just did today.
Sterling Shepard.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're back at Oklahoma and
Nick gets my sarcasm, changing the subject, right?
Exactly. Well, I was going to change the subject to blood pressure, something even more important. So, and this is kind of weird because I've had great blood pressure my entire life, but the last couple of times I'm like, whoops, what's going on? So, I have to kind of, not that it's major yet, but it could be there. So what are we looking at here? What are the issues going on?
Blood pressure is key. There's also some other silent killers, but blood pressure has always been that number one, quote unquote, silent killer that no one talks about. I rarely, maybe I'm the oddity out there, but I rarely diagnose anybody with hypertension, high blood pressure in my office. If they're coming in for a routine exam, shoot the crap, look at labs, and their blood pressure is 160 over 80, 90, I'm going to say, you know what? Go home, relax, take your blood pressure for 2 weeks. First week is both arms. Second, if both arms are pretty close numbers, second week is just one arm. When you're sitting, you're chilling, you're watching your favorite show at nighttime, because some people get nervous when they come to the office. This is why I don't wear a white coat. I don't believe in being all uppity with a white coat. But I will
scope around your neck.
Exactly. I don't do that either. What's a stethoscope? What is that?
It's your uniform, right?
Like I will sit here and talk with a patient for probably 20, 30 minutes before I even mention checking blood pressure, because people get white coat syndrome, quote unquote. They come to the office, they think they're going to get poked and prodded, and they're afraid. They've had PTSD from coming to the office before. So like, I want them to relax and just like make them laugh when they're in the office, so I can have them bring that down a couple notches. And I'll say, hey, look, blood pressure a little high side today. Go home, check it. If it's still elevated in a couple weeks, hey, let's talk about maybe diet and exercise things to lower that down. Let's talk also about maybe blood pressure meds if that doesn't work. But prove me wrong that you can't get it down with diet and exercise alone, because these drugs have side effects.
Yeah.
Beta blockers, going to make you tired, going to give you whoop, right? Guys don't want that either. So these drugs.
Is that the official medical term for that? Whoop.
We call it whoop. But these drugs all have side effects. And hey, I'd rather not do that if I don't have to. I'd rather do it naturally.
Yeah. So what do you prescribe naturally to affect this? What
diet and exercise? Go strength train. Go to do some walking 4 days a week. Zone 2 training, like everyone's talking about right now. Just go walk.
Explain zone 2 training.
Zone 2 training. What is it?
Yeah.
So zone 2 training. So there's 5 heart rate zones for you. We all are in zone 1 right now. We're chatting. Heart rate's low. Zone 2, Ashley calls you on the phone. You're talking, Ashley, you're outside for a walk. You're taking a deep breath. Every 5 words or so, she knows you're exerting yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Zone 3, zone 4. Now you're taking a big, every 4th word, 3rd word, you're working harder at that point in time. Zone 5, you're going, go to voicemail. I don't want to talk to you.
Right.
That's a good way. So Chris Lugo's zone 2 is 122 to 134. Okay. Now, when I'm doing my rucks, I've got a chest strap on. I got my Garmin watch on. Like I'm getting it from multiple to find out what my heart rate is really doing. And then once you get into zone 2, that's when the clock starts. You got to stay there minimum of 45 minutes. All right. So for my ruck yesterday, like it took me 20 minutes to get into zone 2, which was really odd. Usually it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes. So I had extended my ruck an extra mile just because it took me a while to get there.
Yeah.
That will happen over time. Don't expect to do a couple walks and have lower blood pressure. I didn't wake up bald this morning. It's been slowly and insidiously happening to me. Slowly and insidiously, your blood pressure will come time. I will guarantee, I'll get my medical license online. If you do that consistently for 90 days, walking 4 days a week, 60 to 90 minutes in zone 2, you're going to bring your blood pressure down. If not, something else might be going on. you might be that unicorn.
So 60 to 90 minutes in zone 2?
That's what I normally say, 60, 90 minutes, because it takes
a week.
most people 10, 15 minutes to get there.
Yeah. So
it's a walk. It's not a run. Stop running unless you're training for a race. Stop running.
Walking,
this is not 1980s
briskly walking,
jazzercising.
Not walking slowly with your head in your
getting your heart rate up. Yeah. You can do that by just walking alone, especially in this heat today. Yeah. Your heart rate's going to get up a little quicker.
Yeah. Now, can you do that with strength training? Because if you're in the gym, just, lifting weights, you should be in zone 2, right? If you don't take 3-4 minute breaks between sets.
Heart rate's going to come up and down. It's going to be more difficult to you to do that when you're strength training, just because it's going to, depending on how much weight you're pushing up, what set you're on, how far into it, you don't know what your heart rate's doing. It's hard to tell. With chest strap on, watch, it's going to be harder for you to fine tune that heart rate. The best way to do it is a couple different ways. One, get on a treadmill. 3 miles an hour, 3.5 miles an hour, a little bit of an incline to it. Start walking, see if you can get that heart rate off that monitor. If it's Bluetooth, you can see the number live, or get on the bike, cycle. That's usually an easy way to do it too. You can watch your heart rate do it, and you can slow down. You can speed up depending on what your heart rate's doing. All right. But it's hard to do when you're just strength training. Yes. Is your heart rate up? 100% it is. Are you going to be able to keep it in that zone? Fine. It's going to be hard
the key.
to do.
It's got to stay. You got
to stay in there. Once you get in there, that's when the time starts, and you got to stay in there a minimum of 45 minutes. Your Tour de France, we've talked about this before. Tour de France guys, it starts in a couple of weeks, right? They spend 80% of their training in zone 2. For them, that's going out, having a BS conversation on the bike, laughing it up, but they're going on the bike for a couple hours. They're staying in zone 2 for that. That's 80% of their training is zone 2. That will lower blood pressure. Okay.
And you said homocysteine, low vitamin D, low omega-3. Those are symptoms.
Yeah, so I love to check for homocysteine levels. That's a cardiovascular inflammatory marker, for the lack of better words.
Right.
Having elevated homocysteine levels is associated with the methylation genes. More importantly, the MTHFR, the mother gene.
Yeah.
That's important to know, because if you have that and you have elevated homocysteine, that can be irritating your arteries. All right. So it's important to get that down. So one thing that I take is MethylGuard from
Thorne
MethylGuard. That's one thing I take to lower, because it has methylated folate. It's got methylated B12 and trimethylglycine in there to help lower homocysteine levels. That's an important key. And that's something, hey, just get your blood work done, check it, see what it is. Do you have the gene? Do you not have the gene? Most people have the gene, but not everybody does. But you want to get that homocysteine levels down nice and low, below 9. And then vitamin D, that's so important. Like, vitamin D is huge. Everyone thinks, oh, it's not a big deal. We're in Florida. We don't need vitamin D. Get it or not. You'll be really surprised. So you need to take vitamin D. 10,000 international units is what I normally recommend, but always check those levels. Make sure, check it a couple times a year. Make sure you're in the sweet spot. 55 to 95 is the sweet spot for vitamin D.
All right, Nick, what were you saying?
No, I was going to say the NethelGuard. That's exactly what Chris prescribed me to. I take the same thing from Thorne.
Nice.
Morning and night and everything. So, yeah.
What's your email?
Those are things that, like, your regular Western medicine provider doesn't check, doesn't care less, didn't learn it during residency, didn't learn it during school. Homocysteine, what is that? Like, homocysteine? Oh, vitamin D. We learned about that way back in the day about overdoses. Like, they can care less about that stuff. They're going to check a CBC, a CMP, and a lipid panel. I guarantee the majority of people listening to this, that's what their provider does, is check those 3 things. That just tells me if you're going to die in the next 12 hours. It does not give me intuitive information on your life, on your longevity, your marginal decade of life, as we would say. It doesn't help us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is important, because it's one of the things you focus on is prevention. Don't get sick in the first place.
It's all about preventing stuff.
Yeah, and when the doctors today, they don't even talk about that. It's all about what's going on.
They can't talk about it because they don't have time to talk about prevention. I got time to talk about your active disease right now, your diabetes. Oh, hey, take this extra pill. Hey, your high blood pressure. Hey, take this extra pill. See you in 3 months. I don't have time if I take insurance to sit down and educate you on why we're doing what we're doing and the importance of what we're doing to get you off that statin, to get you off that beta blocker, to get you off that metformin, unless you're doing it for anti-aging, like the importance of all that stuff. We don't have time to do it when you take insurance. I don't take insurance. I have time to do it.
There you go. There's the difference right there. Don't get sick. That's the best way to
go
about it.
Don't get sick. Take care of yourself.
That should be your marketing. Like, don't get sick. That's how we do it. Don't come to me when you're sick. We're going to make sure you don't get sick. That's correct. How we do it. All right, partner, BAMMC.com. Email you as well. If you want that Thorn 20% off, you can get that with his code. So email Chris as well.
Email me and I'll get you my links to Full Script and to Thorn. Give you discounts on all those supplements.
Yeah, that's big.
Don't
big
buy the
money.
cheap stuff. It's not worth it. You're just
throwing the money away.
You got it.
All right, partner. Thank you, man. See you
all
next
right, guys.
week.
Take care. See you, Nick.
Yep.
All right, Chris Lugo there. All right, we have time to hit another break. I don't think we do.
No, we're already up against. We got 5 minutes left here, I believe.
Yeah, we do. So thank you very much to the folks at Extravaganza Productions. If you saw Paul Thomason last night from Extravaganza Production at the big event, he will be at the Cut for the Cure today as well. 1:00. Still have time. Go online to the Buccaneers website and hit the Cut for the Cure and come on down and join us at the indoor facility. I'll be there about 1:30 today, 1:15, 1:30. We'll be jumping in there. I might get some red hair today. I don't know.
You might get some what?
Face. I might get my hair colored. Buccaneer
hair
red.
Colored?
Yeah.
You need it to grow back before you even think about.
I'm not cutting it. But I'm like, I think I'll show up with a redhead. Maybe. I don't know. So that's going on today. By the way, do you see the national playoff schedule? It's out.
Yes, and I'm so thankful at the fact that we get a 7:30 start time. Or at least that's what they're saying for the national championship. 7:30 start time. None of this 9:20 crap that we've been doing over the last few years.
God, isn't that nuts? Yeah, I got it.
Or at least that was college basketball. College football though was still like 8:45, I think.
Yeah, so the first round is December 20th and 21st. Those are the on-campus games for the first round. Then the quarterfinals, Fiesta Bowl, Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Peach Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Peach Bowl. And those are December 31st, January 1st. One game's December 31st, Fiesta Bowl. That's a Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we get the January 1st bowls. So
it'll be fun.
Then the semifinals are January 8th and 10th, or 9th and 10th. So 2 separate days for the Cotton Bowl and the Orange Bowl. And then the championship game will be January 20th. So how about that? That's going to be fun. Finally.
I'm mentally there already for football. I'm so mentally ready.
What else do we need to hit today? The Lakers hiring Dan Hurley. We didn't really talk about that.
Yeah, it sounds like
not a done deal yet.
Yeah, it's not a done deal, but it sounds like the latest report here is that he already alerted his players that he's in discussions with them. And I guess from a timing standpoint, boy, yeah, you talk about these players are going to have a 30-day window to enter the portal if they want to.
The preseason number one team.
I was going to say, this is the 2-time reigning champion and now the number 1 seed going into this year. You should be scared if you are if you're a program out there and you have a coach that's pretty good. You should be scared right now because there's about to be a late domino effect here in college basketball.
Who's going to you? Who's going to get that gig? They're going to make a decision to retain as many players as they can because they have a loaded roster.
But they got to act quickly. I think Bruce Pearl makes a lot of sense.
Ooh.
Nate Oates has been sort of rumored.
Bruce Pearl doesn't. He doesn't. I don't know if he seems like more of a SEC guy than a Northeast guy.
Maybe, but they're going to get somebody big. Somebody. They're not
Where's
just
Bobby Hurley coaching?
Assistant.
Where's Bobby? Isn't Bobby Hurley coaching in the Northeast somewhere?
I thought he was at Arizona State before, wasn't he?
Oh yeah,
he might have gotten fired. Yeah, he's still at Arizona State. He's still at Arizona State.
All right.
No, Bobby's not ready for that gig.
You're not ready for that gig? Okay.
That'll be fascinating. Let's see. The Rays are off today as well. I know we didn't talk much about them, but to be honest, because I know there's a lot of excitement over these last two games, the Rays just owned the Marlins. I mean,
you won 16 of 17 at Marlins
23
Park.
of 26 since 2019.
Whoa.
And the biggest thing I said, we already touched on, Brandon Lau, Randy Rosarena, even Pete Fairbanks, my goodness, has been lights out since he's come off the injured list. But forgive me. I mean, they're back up to 500, but forgive me if I want to see it against a good team. And here come we got the Orioles for 4. So let's see.
Should be fun. And that's at the Trop this weekend, right? Get you out.
I believe so, right?
Yeah, because they just played at Baltimore.
Yeah.
All right, great job, Nick. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks to Brian Fasulo, Chris Lugo. Had great conversations today, all about NIL, et cetera, et cetera. That was pretty cool. If you missed anything, you can always rewatch it on Twitter, Facebook, on YouTube, or listen as a podcast. Please go ahead and go on Apple and Spotify and subscribe on our podcast channel. Have a great day, everybody. We will be back tomorrow with more fun and frivolity on Friday. That's 3 Fs for you. We'll see you then.